actually a table free in front of the stage. There's also lots of different pews and seats available in a semicircular fashion all along the edges. What are you guys doing?
Which one is it, Jim?
Should we go to the table? We're away from people.
Yeah, sure, Jim.
I would say at the front, there's also
As you go and sit over, you can
splash
see that
zone.
Avery gives you guys
Splash zone.
a cursory glance and gives you a nod, and she turns, and you can see she's wearing a bit more casual clothes today.
Mhm.
And she's just currently sat kind of looking at the guy in the center. And then after a brief second, you can hear that the music starts to fade. And you can hear drum roll as the one-man band rolls into the center. And you can see this guy with the top hat start speaking. Welcome all to Big Top's traveling troupe. It's been a long time since we've made our way up this neck of the woods, but I can assure you we've picked up a few new tricks up our sleeve in the meantime. And he sets off a puff of smoke with some glitter that showers down. Just a very minor form of prestidigitation. After this, he clicks his fingers and the lights dim in the room. And then you can see bullseye lanterns are pointed up towards the very, very top. And you can see there's a small platform. And there are two very small figures, maybe halflings, maybe gnomes. It's hard to see at this distance. And they're both hanging onto very large rope swings. And immediately they drop back down and they start doing the most amazing kind of trapeze and flipping together. And then after a brief couple of seconds, they do a fucking quadruple black flip and land into the square. And you can see that that they land and everybody claps and laughs. And then he says, well, I wouldn't trust them doing my washing if they're going to be doing flips and stuff like that. And then at this point, you can see he kind of walks back and goes back behind some of the curtains at the back of the tent. And then after that, you can see a gentleman comes over, and he seems to be a regular dude, almost looks, completely mundane. And he says, everybody, check your pockets. Anything that can fit in the palm of your hand that you can throw it into the stage, and I'll eat it, no matter what it is. And then you can just see everybody just starts throwing apple cores and forks, disposable plates.
I see the apple core. Why was that in your pocket, bro?
What's carrying a fork around?
There are people that there is some food in the area that people were eating.
Yeah.
And he just gets showered in various stuff, and you see this guy just walking around and just eating everything and just stuffing it into his mouth. And he takes off his top and he turns to his side to show everyone his stomach isn't getting any bigger. And then he just keeps eating and eating and eating until all of the food's gone after about 30 seconds. And then he lets out a massive burp. And then he points to somebody and says, you, what did you throw me? And they said, a stinky apple core. And then he says, watch this. And he shoves his arm down his throat and picks out the apple core and throws it back at them. And everyone goes, ew. And then he points
in his throat?
He points to one of the children and he says, what did you throw at me? And they say, I threw you a paper hat that was made for me. And then he reaches down his throat and he pulls out a perfectly preserved paper hat. and then he unfolds it and turns it into a paper airplane and throws it back at the child.
What a kid.
And then after a while, he bows and makes his way backstage.
I'm convinced that
And
man
then
is diabolical,
the ringleader comes back. Fucking, you just know that Eldar is the kind of guy who's like, yeah, that guy did.
Yeah. I know that trick.
I know
Easy
that.
trick. Anyone can figure that
I
out.
had that trick when I was a kid. I made that trick.
Okay. And then for the next trick, you can see that there's one gentleman who is wheeling out a big like wooden box. They turn it around for the audience, and there is like a very large woman. Some might know them to be giant folk.
Right.
She towers about like 7.5 feet tall. And now my beautiful assistant will get into this box. And this giant lady climbs into this box, and he says, and I'm going to saw her in half. And then he starts to saw, and then you can see like he separates the boxes and spins them around. You can see she's moving her hands and she's moving her feet. And then he puts the box back together, opens it, and she gets out seemingly fine.
Aldar's
And
like,
then
yeah, no, I know that spell. Yeah, I did that before as well.
And then they wheel it, back into the rear side of the tent. You know, like there have been a couple of other ones where people are doing fire breathing and various forms of gymnastics and snake charming, etc. And then there is one where they bring out a large vat of acid, and you can see there's a large like cylindrical glass cylinder, sorry, that's being wheeled out, and you can see Big Top comes and says, and now for one of our newest and most sought after tricks which we've got up our sleeve. One of my dear colleagues is going to sacrifice themselves for your enjoyment. And then once again, the bullseye lantern points to the very ceiling, and you can see that there is what looks to be a fish creature of sorts. It's kind of hard to look at this distance, and the lights all point in its direction. You can see they're beaming from different corners of the room, and then once again, the music turns to a drum roll, and then they jump off the top, land directly into this vat, and you can just see that like the body after a mere moment just starts to liquefy and dissolve, and then you see the skeleton float to the top.
What
And
the
then-
hell?
Yeah, there's a fake skeleton at the bottom. You see, they've tied it down, and then
Oh
he's
my
hiding
God.
in there.
And
Hold
then,
on, please.
and then after a brief second, you can see that the lights once again all point to one of the curtains, and they all point to the entrance, and you can see that the fish person is standing right behind everybody.
What the hell?
Twins.
Now that I don't know how he did that.
Just 1 second.
Oh.
Oh.
And you can see that there is this creature which is standing behind your tables.
Ta-da!
Bravo! Bravo!
Whoa! Whoa!
Oh.
And everybody claps and cheers, and you can see that the vat gets wheeled away, and then you can see Big Top once again kind of walks back into the center and says, and now, after all, for I am the leader of this circus, the ringleader, I suppose maybe I should show you a trick or two. And then at this point, he whistles, and you can see as a large saber-toothed tiger walks from out of the curtains and struts into the area. And then he walks over and puts his hand on its head and gives her a scritch. And he says, "Now, my dear Fiona and I are going to show you a trick or two that we've learned over the years." And then at this point, you can see that he, from out behind his back, he pulls out a large metal, kind of like hula hoop looking thing,
Mhm.
and then he says, "How about we do a few tricks?" And then they start to like jump through the hoops, and he's leading her. He's holding her, like booping her snoot and like leading her along and getting her to like climb up these going on like merry-go-rounds, and they have all kinds of different like circuit tricks going on. And then he says, "And now for our final trick," and he brings out one of the hoops he did before and lights it on fire and sticks it into the ground and basically sets up like this weird assault course of things. And at this point, he gets on top of her, and they start running around this set course, jumping up on walls and like climbing on tight ropes, and then they jump through the hoop. And at this point, you can see that from the crowd, a beam of light shoots directly at the creature, and it falls onto the floor along with Big Top. It lands on top of him. The music stops at this point, and you can see that there's a fire which is starting to spread all across the hay, and people start screaming, and they start to run, and people are getting stuck at the door, and they're just not sure like what the fuck is going on. And then at this point you realize, wait a minute, there's fire everywhere, and you look and you can see that there is fire which is slowly enveloping the various corners of the tent. And
But it's true, right? Right?
Right?
It's part of the show.
Yeah,
Everyone's
sure.
screaming, running. You guys are all just sat at the table like,
This is
the
brilliant,
special
look at
effect.
that.
It's just
Idiots.
incredible.
Honestly, magic is
Well, but
phenomenal
idiots.
nowadays. Is this hex tech?
and if you just hold up 1 second.
Like, is everyone here in on the show?
Stan, like, brilliant acting, guys. Honestly, you're really following this through.
Honestly, bravo, civilians, bravo.
Like,
Yeah.
to get everyone involved on this.
And you can
During-
see
Truly.
and you can see that as people are shuffling out, there are some people who remain seated, and they all turn and start to look in your direction.
What the heck?
Uh-oh.
That's creepy.
Avery remains seated. A couple of the guards remain seated, and all of the figures turn to face you. And we'll just show you a little sneak peek of what we've got in store for you next week.
What the
Oh,
fuck?
Oh,
No.
God.
Oh,
Wait,
oh no.
Cool.
I can't see.
Hold up.
I can see. I can fight.
Oh, what the heck? We paid money for this show, and we get ambushed?
Hey,
I want our money back.
Can you see now?
We'll steal that money back
I can see. Oh, now I can definitely see.
They think surrounding me with fire makes me any weaker.
Ulfgar
During
was
that-
born in the fire.
We
think
didn't start the
I think we're
fire.
trapped in here with them. They're trapped in here with us.
We just keep it burning.
And you can see that the saber-toothed tiger is currently on fire and appears to be mauling Big Top.
Oh my god.
I thought you were a good
Oh.
saber-tooth. No.
You know
Plot
what? That's what
twist.
you get for keeping a wild animal in captivity.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
in the
yeah.
D&D universe, it kind of makes sense because you can befriend them with magic and speak to them.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Maybe he was mean to it then.
Big Top could
It
have been a
sounds like
druid.
enslavement.
He could have been a druid. You might have been
We'll
friends
never
with
know.
him.